Hi guys, and welcome back to another video. So yeah, in this video I'm going to be talking about all of the Blu-ray and 4K pickups that I got for the month of November 2022. So yeah, I'm doing this video a bit quicker than I normally would, as pretty much I'm not really going to have the time next week to film this video, and to be honest, some stuff I've ordered hasn't arrived in time. I don't know why, but the obviously with the postal strikes and Amazon letting me down quite a few times this month. Yeah, I'm just able to just show what I've got currently as it stands. So yeah, that being said, gonna get into it straight away, talking about the Blu-rays that I picked up this month. So first up, we've got a Tony Scott film, and that is Unstoppable, with Chris Pine and Denzel Washington. Hadn't seen this before, picked it up on a deal because it was really cheap off of eBay, and gave it a watch, and yeah, I liked it. It was a fairly sort of solid action movie in my opinion that I quite enjoyed, and yeah, can't really say much more about it than that. Glad to have it in the collection. Yeah, that's Unstoppable. Next up, I picked up a Joe Dante movie, and I think this movie sort of came out on physical this week. Haven't seen this one yet, and that is Piranha. I do have Piranha 2 on DVD, which I've picked up a few weeks ago, but I haven't watched it yet, obviously, because I haven't seen the first one. So yeah, that is Piranha. Looking forward to checking that one out. Next up, we've got a movie from Bong Joon-ho, director of Parasite, and picked this up off the Criterion label because it was quite cheap, and that is Okja. I don't know anything about this movie, to be honest. I haven't seen anything, but I heard a lot of positive things. Picked it up off the Black Friday sale off Amazon, and I decided to give it a go at some point. So yeah, that is Okja. Next up, I picked up one of my favourite sequels to an absolute classic, which I also picked up this month, and that is of course Psycho 2, off the Arrow label. Picked this up off of CEX for just under a tenner, and it came with the booklet as well, which I was massively surprised by. But yeah, this is a fantastic sequel. It can rival the original in my opinion, and yeah, just really enjoy it. Glad to have it on Blu-ray. Previously I have owned this before in a 3-pack with the other 2 sequels, but yeah, this is my favourite and the standout from that set. So yeah, decided to upgrade it to Blu-ray and get it off the Arrow label. So yeah, that is Psycho 2. So you'll probably notice a theme with these next pickups is that these are movies that I've upgraded to Blu-ray from DVD. I kind of did that a lot this month. But yeah, I picked up 2 John Carpenter films next. So the first one I got was Starman with Jeff Bridges. This is a fantastic film. It's one of John Carpenter's most underrated in my opinion. And yeah, I just think it's absolutely fantastic. So yeah, that is Starman. Next up, we've got one of his earlier movies. I think this is his second movie after Dark Star, and I picked up Assault on Precinct 13 from the Second Sight label. I just watched this film today, and the Blu-ray is superb. Yeah, it's a fantastic film. Absolutely love it. And that ice cream truck scene, wow. Let's just say that. Next up, picked up an 80s classic for me. This is super underrated. This film has an amazing soundtrack and an amazing cast, and it is The Legend of Billie Jean with Helen Slater. It also stars Christian Slater and Keith Gordon, most famously from Christine and Jaws 2. But yeah, this is probably one of the best female empowered movies that just never gets talked about. It's up there for me with like Terminator 2 and Aliens in terms of having a decent female lead. Yeah, I just think this movie is absolutely fantastic. It's kick-ass. I just love it. Love everything about it. So yeah, that is The Legend of Billie Jean. Next up, I picked up a steelbook of a John Hughes penned movie. So last month, if you remember, I picked up Pretty in Pink, and I also ordered this movie, but it didn't arrive in time for that monthly update video. So what arrived this month was Some Kind of Wonderful on steelbook. I think this is a fantastic film. Absolutely love the soundtrack to it, love the characters in it. Just think it's got a great cast, and yeah, it's I probably prefer it over Pretty in Pink, to be honest. But yeah, just think it's a solid film, and it's a really nice looking steelbook as well. So yeah, that is Some Kind of Wonderful. Next up, we've got a movie that I didn't really like the first time I saw it, to be honest, but I've got to admit, going back to it, it really has sort of grown on me. And it's a movie with Paul Giamatti and Thomas Hayden Church, Sandra Ho's in this as well as Virginia Madsen, obviously from Candyman. And that movie is Sideways. I picked up this foreign edition off of eBay, and I'm yet to see it on Blu-ray. But yeah, this is a movie where I go back to it, I kind of enjoy it more and more, to be honest. And yeah, it's just a fun sort of drama slash comedy. I think it's more heavy on the drama than the comedy, but there are moments in this movie that do make me laugh, and I do have a really good time with it. But yeah, it's a solid movie from the early 2000s that I just really enjoy. I'm at that point now where I can say that, and yeah, I just think it's a fantastic film. So glad to pick it up on Blu-ray. It wasn't easy to find, but yeah, that is Sideways. Next up, we've got an Oscar winner for Best Picture, directed by the Coen brothers, and this is a great movie. Been meaning to upgrade this for quite a while, but it was always really expensive off Amazon, and I came across it on eBay for about £3 or £4, and just thought, yeah, I've got to pick it up. And that is No Country for Old Men. Yeah, superb sort of Western crime thriller this as well. Javier Bardem, and this is absolutely terrifying, where he's just going around with this cattle prod, executing people. It's just, yeah, it's really cool. But yeah, really like the movie as well. Josh Brolin, Tommy Lee Jones, fantastic supporting cast. Woody Harrelson as well. And yeah, just really dig No Country for Old Men. Just think it's a fantastic Coen brothers film. So yeah, that is No Country for Old Men. Next up, I picked up another John Hughes movie that he directed as well with John Candy, and that is Uncle Buck. Again, this is another one I upgraded from DVD, and watched this the other day, and just an absolute blast with it. It really is fun. Cracking time with it. Great cast, great premise, and yeah, just great characters. Sort of brought in by his brother to look after the kids as his wife's father's had a heart attack, and yeah, he obviously doesn't get along with his niece, and yeah, it's just the hijinks and that just absolutely ensue, and it's just a great holiday movie, shall we say, and I just really enjoy it. So yeah, that is Uncle Buck. Next up, I picked up a sort of 80s comedy classic, and again, this was another movie I could not get into, but on a couple of rewatches, I think it's superb now, and that is, of course, this is Spinal Tap, the Turn It Up to 11 edition. Yeah, this is a fantastic Rob Reiner movie. I couldn't really get into it because I couldn't really suss out Spinal Tap as a band. I couldn't really sort of put my finger on that group as to why I didn't really sort of like them, but obviously it's a made-up band for the movie, and yeah, it's just one of those films that I just didn't click with. But having rewatched it quite a few times, I really do enjoy it now, and really do get a kick out of it. And I think I sort of missed the humour the first time round, and yeah, just think it's a really good funny movie, shall we say? With you really sort of like the band, like what they're going through, and it really is quite fun. So yeah, this is Spinal Tap. Next up, I picked up a bootleg of a Disney movie that came out this year. I absolutely love the first one. It's a childhood classic for me. So I picked up Hocus Pocus 2 on Blu-ray. I thought this movie was okay. I thought the start of it was amazing. To be honest, I thought the young cast they had were actually better than the older ones, to be honest. And I really liked where the movie was going with that direction. But yeah, the movie after that just kind of went downhill for me. I wasn't a big fan of the new cast of characters. I honestly thought that the old cast were going to come back. But this is a really nice set, and it comes with some great artwork on the discs as well. Yeah, I just think these look absolutely fantastic. Some of the effort that goes into these Blu-rays is just, it's better than some of the standard legit releases that we get. But yeah, glad to have Hocus Pocus 2 in the collection, even though I wasn't the biggest fan of it. I did still really like that opening sequence though. Just thought it was absolutely fantastic. So yeah, that is Hocus Pocus 2. Next up from Second Sight. This actually arrived this morning, so I haven't actually had a chance to watch this movie yet, but I've heard some fantastic things about it. And it's a movie with Stephen Graham off the Second Sight label, and that is Boiling Point. The only thing I really know about this movie is that it's sort of set in a kitchen, and I think it sort of has a one take sort of aspect to it. But yeah, other than that, I don't really know anything about the movie. Stephen Graham, I'm a fan of. I think he's a cracking actor, and I'm glad he's sort of his career sort of taken off and going in a positive direction. But yeah, really looking forward to checking this one out. As I said, I've not seen it yet, but heard really good things about it. So yeah, that is Boiling Point. Next up, I picked up a trilogy that I was absolutely dying to get this on Blu-ray, and the HMV exclusive has put out a really nice set for these 3 films. So it is, of course, the Austin Powers collection. These movies, I rewatched them, and I've got to be honest, they were funnier than I remember. They were absolutely hysterical. It's more so Maya's facial expressions as Dr. Evil and Austin Powers. I don't know why, he just cracks me up. And then you've obviously got Fat Bastard in there as well. He was just a treat to watch, even as grotesque as he is. He's so funny. But yeah, really do like these movies. I can watch all 3 of them back to back and just have a superb time with them. I don't know what's happening with this 4th movie that has sort of been floating around for the longest time now. I don't know if it's going to be too late, but yeah, the trilogy that we've got, I really do like, and just have a blast with all 3 movies. The second one's probably my favourite, even though I think the first one's probably the best. But yeah, really do have a great time with the Austin Powers trilogy, and glad to see this edition out from HMV. So yeah, that is the Austin Powers collection. Next up, we've got a movie that came out this year, and I picked this up on I think it was a 2 for 15 deal or a 2 for 20 deal, I can't remember. Didn't really have any sort of aspects to check this movie out or have any interest in it really, but I've got to say I was quite surprised by it. And it is the DC League of Super Pets. Yeah, I had a good time with it, to be honest. It was fun. It was harmless. It had a moment in here I wasn't expecting to strike an emotional chord with me, but it really did. And yeah, just got to say, really enjoyed the movie for what it was. Fun, I think that is the best word to define it. And yeah, just had a great time with it. So yeah, that is the DC League of Super Pets. So in that deal with the Super Pets movie, I picked up this horror film which I was kind of really looking forward to checking out. Hadn't seen it yet, didn't get a chance to see it at the cinema, and that is Men. This is another horror movie from 2022 that I really enjoyed. It's sort of lower down the pecking order of horror films for me, but I still really liked it nonetheless. And yeah, it had some great performances in it, which I just really dug. And yeah, had a real sort of surprising third act that I wasn't expecting. And yeah, I've got to say, 2022 for me has just been a solid year for horror. I haven't really seen one that I've really disliked. I think I could probably, by the end of the year, do a top 10 horror films alone from this year, and just get sort of real joy and excitement out of compiling that list. But yeah, Men, I think for me, was one that really shone and stood out. So yeah, that is Men. Next up is, again, another horror film from this year that, for me, it just stood out and I just had a great time with it. So at the time of recording this video here in the UK, there's no sort of release for this movie. There's been no cinema release. There's been no streaming date release for it. Certainly no physical release for it. So I ended up having to order this off Amazon.com as it had come out there this November, and that is Pearl, the sort of prequel to X, as it were, which was another horror film that came out this year. I'm sort of noticing with with when people review these movies that if they liked X, they didn't really like Pearl, and if they liked Pearl, they didn't really like X. I enjoyed both movies, to be honest, pretty much on a very similar level. If I had to choose one, it would probably be X, but that's only by a hair. This movie for me is absolutely stunning. Similar and in the same vein as Midsommar, the movie just looked absolutely gorgeous, and yeah, I just had a real good time with this movie, as it were. I know it's definitely not perfect, but yeah, for me, it kind of shone with its aesthetics. It just looked absolutely gorgeous. There's a sequence in this movie that obviously involves a scarecrow, and the movie just looked stunning. The shot of the fields, the road she was on, it just looked absolutely perfect from a visual standpoint. But yeah, really enjoyed this movie. Was pleasantly surprised by it, and yeah, just had a good time with it. So yeah, that is Pearl. So next up, this is one of the movies that I was sort of let down by this month, not in terms of quality, but in terms of Amazon and their service. I have Jason Brett to thank for getting hold of a copy of this for me. My gratitude for that will just never cease. The fact that Jason was able to find one of these at the time was just a miracle. But I had this on pre-order for 3 months with Amazon, and 2 days after the official release date, Amazon emailed me and said, we cannot obtain the item. We can't let it out. We can't send it out. We're having a real trouble getting hold of it. So I was a bit disappointed having that on pre-order for 3 months. That shouldn't really be the case. But yeah, this is of course the movie I'm talking about, and that is Ghostwatch. Yeah, again, a massive thanks for Jason Brett for sourcing this for me and sending it my way. Yeah, this is a movie that was sort of first brought to my attention when I was watching a documentary on Channel 4. I think it was like Channel 4's like top 100 scariest moments of all time in movies and TV. And this one was in the middle of that list somewhere. And from what I saw, it scared the living shit out of me. Particularly that sequence where the girl gets possessed. It was just, for me, it just, it kept me up at night. And I was sort of apprehensive about checking out this movie, even as an adult. I did have the DVD of this, but I've since upgraded it to the Blu-ray because 101 have put out such a stellar edition. They really have. It just looks absolutely fantastic. But yeah, again, I can't thank Jason Brett enough for getting hold of this for me, even though I know this has sort of come back into stock a bit. But hindsight's a wonderful thing. You can never really know whether that's going to happen or not. But yeah, massive thanks to Jason again for picking this out for me. So yeah, that is Ghostwatch. Next up, we've got another sort of edition that came out this month, which was a pain in the arse to get hold of. It was, I don't know whether this release was limited to certain HMV stores because they just flew off the shelves like hotcakes. I went to 2 HMVs again while I was searching for Ghostwatch, and again was looking for this edition and couldn't find it anywhere. CEX completely gone as well. Had a look on eBay and it was going for silly money. It was going for between £50 and £70, and no one in their right mind is going to pay that for it. I did eventually find a seller on eBay that had, I think they had about 12 copies of these and they were selling them for £26. I immediately jumped on it, and that is of course the Terrifier, the Bloody Duo pack. Yeah, again, I know this is sort of it's becoming a little bit more easier to obtain now. We're sort of seeing it back in stock with HMV, but yeah, I've got to say I sat down and watched these movies and I had a ball with them, to be honest. Real treat. I sort of knew they were going to be like mega ultra violent, which they are, and which is great and everything, but yeah, I just had a fun time with them. Absolutely fun time with them. Great. Just nothing sort of super, groundbreaking in my opinion, but the violence in there, it's a modern day Brain Dead, shall we say, in terms of violence. And yeah, just had a great time with it. Art the Clown is absolutely terrifying, scares the shit out of me. But yeah, gotta say, this edition is really, really nice. And I believe there's going to be a third one in the pipeline, I think, at some point, because I think Terrifier 2 made so much money off the budget it had. And yeah, I can see that. I'll definitely check the third one out, but I can't really sort of wrap my head around why these movies have sold out so much, to be honest. I don't know whether it's just the edition or what, but yeah, they're really popular at the minute, and they're just really, really fun. Really, really fun horror movies. They're not for everyone, but I got a kick out of them and I enjoyed them. So yeah, that is the bloody duo pack of Terrifier. Next up, I picked up a movie that, again, I had on DVD, and I wanted to upgrade this to Blu-ray, but again, the Blu-ray was super, super expensive. And it is, of course, Tucker and Dale versus Evil. Found the Blu-ray really, really cheap, I think, for about just under £10 off eBay. I had to jump on it. It did come a bit battered, but that was only the Amaray case, so I swapped it out for another one. I think that was why it was so low in price. But yeah, glad I did. Disc is absolutely fine. And yeah, really enjoy this movie. It's one of the best horror comedies I think that's out there. I just have a superb time with it. The cast in it is absolutely great. The characters in it are a lot of fun. And yeah, it's very much sort of in the vein of Evil Dead, shall we say, which I will get into in my next pick. But yeah, this is it's super good fun, this movie. So yeah, that is Tucker and Dale versus Evil. So yeah, speaking of Evil Dead, I picked up a TV show, and this is the last Blu-ray pickup of the month. And again, this is another TV show that sort of I'd heard great things about. Wanted to pick up the Blu-ray set, but it was always sort of like mega expensive. And I think £50 was a reasonable price for this, given how rare it sort of is and how difficult it is to come by. So I picked up Ash vs. Evil Dead in this Blu-ray set. All 3 seasons, all 30 episodes. I binge watched this show over a weekend, and I just had a ball with it. Just thought it was hilarious and everything I sort of wanted it to be. And yeah, it was just a fantastic show. Absolutely fantastic show. Bruce Campbell is firing on all pistons in this show, and yeah, it's just a really, really fun time. The standout sequence for me is there's a scene that takes place in a morgue, and it's fucking hysterical. That's all I really say about it. And yeah, I just had a great time with this. Great show. Absolutely fun time, and a great follow-up to the Evil Dead trilogy as well. So yeah, that is Ash vs. Evil Dead. So that brings me to an end of all the Blu-ray pickups, and I've got a few 4K pickups here that I'll get into. So yeah, the first one I picked up was a movie that was in a deal that I saw in HMV, so I just thought I'll pick this up. The Blu-ray I don't think was in the deal, so I just thought I actually kind of like the 4K cover a bit more, and it is Pixar's Lightyear. So yeah, pick this up on 4K. It's not Pixar's finest hour, shall we say, but for me, I enjoyed the movie for what it was. It wasn't anything special. It's not as bad as Cars 2, but it's nowhere near as great as like Toy Story 2 or Finding Nemo or The Incredibles. It's just that I think Pixar are losing their way a little bit in terms of quality of a movie. But I thought this one was all right. It was all right. I didn't really enjoy the last one, which was Turning Red, but I just thought it was all right. It was okay for what it was, but glad to pick it up on 4K. I'm of course going to collect sort of everything Disney or Disney Pixar, because that's just me. I'm a collector. And yeah, just thought I'd pick this one up as it was on the deal. So yeah, that is Lightyear. So to go along with Lightyear in that deal, I picked up Stephen King's Cat's Eye. I haven't watched this on 4K yet, but I have seen the movie before with James Woods and Drew Barrymore. And yeah, this is a fun horror anthology movie. And yeah, I just thought, why not? Let's pick this up on 4K and see what it's like. But I just haven't had the chance to get round to it yet. So yeah, that is Cat's Eye. Next up, as it's sort of like the festive season is just around the corner, I picked up A Christmas Story on 4K. This is a great Christmas movie. One I didn't really grow up with. I didn't sort of discover this movie until later in life, but yeah, it's a good, solid movie with a good, solid story. This kid who just pretty much for Christmas all he wants is this BB gun, and he's being told by everyone you're gonna shoot your eye out. Yeah, it's a fun movie. I remember talking to a group of people at work about Christmas movies, and I mentioned this one, and nobody had heard of it. Everyone just sort of looked at me like, "What are you on about?" And I was like, "No, you should check out A Christmas Story. It's a really, really good, solid Christmas movie." And obviously, some of these Christmas movies have had 4K upgrades as the Christmas season is just around the corner. Obviously, movies like Elf and Christmas Vacation. And yeah, I just picked up a Christmas Story because I just thought, why not? It hadn't been released on Blu-ray here, I don't think in the UK yet. So it just went straight to 4K, and this is really the only other way you can get it on Blu-ray as well. So yeah, that is A Christmas Story. Next up, I picked up two movies that I know I said I wasn't going to get these, but I kind of had to because I'd seen other YouTube platform, other channels talk about these Scream Factory editions, and seeing them on the shelf, considering this new box set that they released this year as well, I had to pick them up even though I'm not the biggest fan of the films. So I picked up Halloween 4 and Halloween 5 from the Scream Factory 4K sets. And yeah, these sets are amazing. Even if I'm not the biggest fan of the movies, the sets just look fantastic on the shelf when you have all 8 of them lined up. And I sat down, watched Halloween to Halloween Resurrection on 4K for the first time, especially with the sequels. And I had a blast with all 8 movies, to be honest. Even though some are better than others. I think that's definitely fair to say. But I thought the 4Ks of them looked fantastic, and I just had a great time with them, to say the least. And I know I said I wasn't going to buy them, but I caved. I did. It happens. I'm glad I did. I've got no regrets because they look amazing, and that's all I can really say about them. So yeah, that is Halloween 4 and 5 on 4K. Next, I picked up a sequel to a Wes Craven movie, directed by Wes Craven as well, and that is, of course, Scream 2. This is a really, really good follow-up, I've got to say. It's not a franchise that I'm a big fan of. I don't really care for anything really sort of after 2. I don't mind 5. 4 and 3 are okay-ish. They're not the best, but 1 and 2 are definitely the standouts for me. And yeah, I just sort of have a great time with this. I forgot David Warner was in this movie as well. He makes a brief appearance in it, but yeah, it's a great follow-up. I really, really enjoy it. It looks great on 4K as well, and yeah, it's just one I need to sort of watch 1 and 2 back to back more often, I think, because 2 is really good, and it's probably the most underrated out of the franchise in my opinion. So yeah, that is Scream 2. Next up, I picked up a 4K that I heard was a must for 4Ks, and again, another tip to Jason Brett for sort of telling me about this 4K, and that is, of course, Jaws. I can't say anything else about the movie that hasn't already been said. It's superb. It's one of Spielberg's best. All I can say is the 4K is jaw-dropping. No pun intended. It's wonderful. Absolutely wonderful, this edition. The movie looks great, particularly those beach sequences. Yeah, it's just fantastic. So that's all I can really say about it. That's Jaws. Next up, picked up the new movie from Jordan Peele. Went to see this at the cinema. I really enjoyed it, and that is Nope. Yeah, I know some people are being a bit divisive about this movie, and I can completely understand that. I think sort of similar to Pearl and Midsommar, the movie looks amazing. It's a stunning 4K. It looks gorgeous, and yeah, I was pleasantly surprised by it. I had a good time with this movie. I really enjoyed it. It's not for everyone. It certainly isn't. I think the big reveal towards the end is going to sort of make people think, why did I bother? but I really enjoyed it nonetheless. I got a kick out of it. I just like movies that are sort of original and try something new if they're not attached to a franchise. But yeah, Nope was great. I enjoyed it. That's all I can really say about it. It's a stunning 4K as well. So yeah, that is Nope. Next up from Studio Canal, picked up Highlander in this really nice edition that Studio Canal have put together. Sort of similar to what I was saying before, not a movie I enjoyed that much the first time I watched it, but on repeat viewings, it has really grown on me. Christopher Lambert just gives a fantastic performance in it. There's quite a few brutal scenes at the start that for me were actually quite heartbreaking, to be honest. Just sort of the way his friends and his family turn on him. I felt it was necessary, but again, just still quite brutal to the character. And yeah, it's just a movie I enjoy now. Really, really have a good time with it. Clancy Brown's a fantastic villain as well. Sean Connery is great in most things he does. And yeah, I just have a really, really good time with this movie now. Great soundtrack by Queen as well. So yeah, that is Highlander. Next up, I picked up a 4K set with the 6 movies in it, and it was £60, and I thought, why not? It comes with the Blu-rays as well, so you can see it as £10 a 4K or £5 a disc. And I thought that's actually a really good price for this, but it did come down on the Black Friday sale, which I missed on, and I was gutted. But nonetheless, I picked up the Jurassic World Ultimate Collection, as it were. This is for me, the only movie I really like, and this is the first one, to be honest. But yeah, I just thought this is going to be probably the best way to own these movies. I do want to own them all. I do want to have them all. But yeah, I just thought the 4K is probably the way to go. I've heard fantastic things about the first one as well. But yeah, I'd say the first one for me is obviously the best. The second one, I think, is an okay follow-up. It's, I don't know, I think it just misses the mark a bit from that first one, but I know that is asking a lot. I think the third one is, it's okay. It's okay. Some of the characters in it are super annoying. And I don't really like any of the Jurassic World films, to be honest. But yeah, still glad to pick it up on 4K. Will revisit them all at some point. But yeah, I only really like the first one. But I do think this is a decent set and a decent way to sort of own all the movies. So yeah, that is the Jurassic World Ultimate Collection. And my last and final 4K pickup this month was something I got off the Black Friday sale. And I've got to say, this is one of the movies in this set is the best 4K I've ever seen so far. And it is the Hitchcock Collection, Classics Collection. So the movie I'm talking about, the best 4K I've seen so far, is Vertigo. It was just breathtaking. Absolutely was. Can't say anything else about it. Superb. The best the movie's ever looked. And it was just stunning. The colours in that film were just out of this world, to be honest with you. Not taken away from the other 3 movies, because they absolutely look fantastic as well. But the one that struck a chord with me personally was Vertigo. And yeah, this is a set that comes with the 4Ks, it comes with the Blu-rays. I do want to pick up the second one at some point, but I'm in absolutely no rush because there aren't really any films in that set I'm a big fan of. If it had Rope in it or Strangers on a Train, I'd pick that up in a heartbeat, but some of the movies in there just aren't my personal favourites by Hitchcock. But I think all 4 of these movies that are in this first set really, really are some of his best. But yeah, it's a fantastic set. If you can get it for a decent price, pick it up if you're a movie collector or if you're a fan of Hitchcock, because these movies have never looked better. And again, particularly Vertigo. So yeah, those are all of my 4K and Blu-ray pickups for the month of November, guys. Gonna leave the video there and say thanks very much for watching. Hope you've enjoyed it. Stay safe, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.